move and I'll blow your head off. Well, in that case, I ain't fucking moving, am I? What's happening, guys? You right? Thanks for rejoining me. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for being my friend. I always make notes for these freaking things, and it's always like, Decca's having a fight. Fighting Trolls is having a fight. Darren G and Atwood are not having a fight or having a fight. It's pointless making notes, isn't it? Right, I'm supposed to be playing fuck golf, so I'll keep this brief so I can get on with real life. Oh, sorry, Rich. Cutting your head out there. How's that? Yeah. Right, what's the new development since I last sat here about 24 hours ago? Now, Darren G and Fighting Trolls were going to have a fight, according to Fighting Trolls. He was heading down to Birmingham on Saturday on the train. Train was booked. He was on his live Friday night with a load of his chums. Talked about Darren G for several hours, about how he's going to go down there, and whatever happens, happens. Darren G came on a live afterwards then. He spoke about some serious issues first, and then said he was going to cave in Fighting Trolls' low density bone structure, I think was his words. So, you know, that was all going off apparently. Then Darren revealed he was actually in Glasgow. He went and did a little meet and greet in the street with some street pastors and some other revelers. So obviously the fight wasn't going to happen. And then after G's live, when G had revealed he was in Glasgow, Fighting Trolls then put out a video saying, G's run off to Glasgow because he's scared. Pretty sure that's not what actually happened. But then, as it's panned out, Fighting Trolls has had a bit of drama in his personal life. I think one of his mates has passed away. And then he put out a video then, I think of his mate's brother getting arrested or something up in North Wales. I think there were some of his ex sort of Codies, as they say in the game. So yeah, obviously sad. Rest in peace to the chap who's passed. So then Fighting Troll said he was going to take a bit of a break for a bit, you know, from all this nonsense, which is probably a good idea. I think it can get quite emotional. You know, I was once in a position. Obviously, I don't want to talk about my, you know, my own brush with notoriety. Is that the right word? You know, I was once, well, you know, I was single-handedly carried an ensemble piece TV program on BBC Three, reaching legendary status very quickly before voluntarily disappearing from the public eye. So I had a brief taste of what it's like to be recognised by people who don't know you, and for people on social media to be talking to you, like Twitter. I used to have it. You know, people messaging, you're great. And I'd be like, fuck, well, I don't think that. Why are you saying that? So yeah, so I think Fighting Trolls has had a brief little taste of what it's like to suddenly, out of nowhere, he goes on a live every night and there's like a couple of hundred people there and people messaging him. I think he's got a little bit swept away with it all, a little bit carried away with the whole thing. He's taken his eye off the ball, and yeah, I think it's all become a bit much. And then he's had a few big names, you know, in that world, likes of Mr. Joyce, Mr. Venice. I think he's had some dealings with Mr. Heggie. Obviously, he's been having a run-in with Mr. G. So I think what's happened is basically, remember before I put all these podcast wars guys into different divisions, Premier League, Championship, First Division. What I think is Paul, or aka Fighting Trolls, I think he got promoted and then he went up a division and he just didn't have the squad. You know, didn't invest in the team, didn't have the squad to be up in that level, you know, and got found out. So I imagine he's probably going to get relegated back down to the first division, and obviously he can sort of regroup and regroup. Yeah, start again possibly. But it was a bit early for him to be up there with all those sorts of characters, I think. Because it's weird, isn't it? And I think what's happened is the sort of jail, drugs, street life. I think it started off with like your main man, yeah? You got your English and your Atwood. And then they would then interview people from the crime game. You know, notorious sort of criminals who'd served a lot of time in prison, etc., you know. Some of the sort of names, chaps, or whatever, faces, whatever the term is. So they'd like do 20 years in prison. They'd come out and do a podcast and talk about, you know, how it was back in the day and the old gangster stuff. And I've always been into that sort of stuff. You know, McVicker is one of my favourite films. Move and I'll blow your head off. Well, in that case, I ain't fucking moving, am I? That sort of stuff. So, you know, I've always been into that. Long Good Friday. And, you know, we all like a bit of gangster and that. We all like to flirt with it. But I'm not about that life. Christ. And I think some people think they are, but they're not either. You know, you've got to be a certain type of person psychologically. And I think sometimes people get swept up in it and sort of realise, I'm not psychologically built for this type of caper. So that's what's probably happened there. So yeah, so all these gangsters would be on these big podcasts. And then it sort of filtered down until people of the lower echelons of the crime game end up getting involved in YouTube, you know, and maybe they're not about that life either. So shelf life, you know, who's gonna be around in a year's time for these current podcast wars characters? Who's gonna still be around, you know? God knows, really. It's going off with Decca again. Apparently him and Christie are having a fight. Now, they had that fight before. Hell of a fight, square go, good paga. And then apparently that was it. They weren't going to talk about each other again, and that was going to be the end of that. And then I think, I may be wrong here, I usually am, but Decca apparently saw that Christie had put a clown comment in a YouTube comment section to somebody who was defending Decca. So as far as Decca was concerned, you're not allowed to put clown comments to people on YouTube threads who are defending me. That's broken the man contract of not talking about each other anymore. So he's like, oh, I want another fight now, but in like February, March. But he's supposed to be fighting that other guy, isn't he? What's his name? Oh, Christie. Sorry, I can't remember his name. The one he had a fight with years ago, I did mention him. He was supposed to be fighting him. So, I don't know, Decca's got 2 fights lined up. Fighting Trolls did have that fight lined up, but he's gone off the radar a bit. Oh, I guess who's back? Living in fucking London, mate. He's back. He was trying to get, maybe, and there's now fake. There's these people on YouTube now, and then there's fake versions of them in comment sections. So apparently Living in London was on the Fighting Trolls live the other day, trying to get in. It was all the big guns in there, you know. There was like Fighting Trolls, Uncle K, what's his name, Dr. Rackpull. All of his sort of main guys he has on his show were there. And Fighting Trolls was saying, oh, I'm going to go and bat a G tomorrow. Well, I'm going to go down and fight him anyway. I don't care, I'm going down. And all of his people were like, some of them were like, oh, it's not a good idea. And some were like, yeah. And Ditchy was in there, you know, obviously overseeing the whole event. And then Living in London was trying to get in the chat. And obviously Living in London and Ditchy have had their sort of run-ins recently. And Ditchy was like, if you talk to Living in London, I'm not going to talk to you. Type of thing. This one, the things in this podcast game, this is why I'm completely impartial. I got no favourites or whatever. You know, I sort of have in my own head, but ones I enjoy more than others, and ones I think will stand the test of time or have more to offer the YouTube community in general. But, you know, I got no favourites. Everybody's trying their best out there. But there's this sort of thing where if somebody's... it's like politics, isn't it? You're only allowed to have one side and everything the other side do is wrong. So if you're sort of team fighting trolls, you're not allowed to watch Team G and vice versa. It's like Fighting Trolls said in one of his videos, oh, I've seen people in the comments over on G's, people who come to my comments, and it's like, mate, aren't you allowed to like both of them, you know? The other day, I watched the Fighting Trolls live, and straight away after, I watched the Darren G live. And the fact that it was sort of interwoven between the trouble between the two of them made it a more interesting watch for me, you know? As I say, I've got my own personal opinion that I keep to myself, because it's my personal opinion. I'm not going to bang it out here, really. There's too many opinions flying about in this game, isn't it? But, you know, I like watching them both, you know? So, yeah, there's just check my notes. He's fighting with him. He's fighting with him. He wants to fight with him. He's not fighting with him for a minute. He's not fighting with him, but he wants to fight with him. He thinks he should fight with him. And living in fucking London is back. So welcome back, Mr. Lazar. Sure you'll be a very interesting addition to the game. Okay, I'm gonna play fuck golf. Thanks for joining us. Share, like, subscribe, ring the button. Yeah, press my fucking button, cunt. Cheers.